So we're in 1 John. So turn to 1 John. And I thank you guys. The last time I was supposed to teach, because we had a week off for Thanksgiving, was the night that that happened with the Hortons. And so Justin jumped in and taught for me, which was awesome. But we're talking through 1 John chapter 3. So we're going to read it together. Everybody's got your Bibles up? Everybody's got your Bibles up? Or your friend's Bible next to you, or somebody's Bible near you. So,
You want the
1 John chapter 3. Here's what it says, okay? Or your phone, if that works. Just don't text anybody. See what kind of love the Father has given to us? We should be called the children of God. And so we are. The reason why the world does not know us is that it did not know Him. Beloved, we are God's children now, and what we will be has not yet appeared. But we will know that when He appears, we will be like Him, because we will see Him as He is. And everyone who thus hopes in Him purifies himself as He is pure. Everyone who makes a practice of sinning also practices lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. You know that He appeared in order to take away sins, and in Him there is no sin. No one who abides in Him keeps sinning. No one who keeps sinning has either seen Him or known Him. Little children, let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous, as He is righteous. Whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil. The devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. No one born of God makes a practice of sinning, for God's seed abides in him. He cannot keep on sinning because he's been born of God. But by this it is evident who are the children of God and who are the children of the devil. Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is the one who does not love his brother. There should be right there a little clicker.
Yeah, he has
deal.
it.
Okay, I'll take that. Thank you. So we're talking about love and sin. Okay, there's two specific topics, and honestly, guys, I struggle reading through 1 John because it feels like I love it. Any of you guys like to read? Any of you guys readers? I'm a big time reader. I'll sit and I'll devour a novel in one sitting. So I remember one time, a long time ago, I started reading this novel. It was a great idea to start it at like 8 o'clock at night. So I started reading. It was like, I don't know, 400 or 500 pages. And I had a 6 a.m. meeting the next morning. I read right through, and I finished the book on the way to my meeting while I was driving, which was not a good idea. In Michigan in the snow. So I'm just like an avid reader. So when I read 1 John, it feels like 1 John, like John in his book, feels like he makes a statement, and then he makes another statement, and then he makes another statement. But when you put them together, it feels like just a bunch of statements like mashed together. That's what it feels like to me. So for me, 1 John's a little confusing, honestly. I don't feel like that about much of the Bible. Even the really like hard parts, I don't feel like that. But when I read 1 John, it's really tough. So I want to break it into a couple of sections, okay? So we're going to talk about love and we're going to talk about sin. Number one, we have to choose whether we're going to love God or the world. So follow with me as I read. Here, ready? Verse 1. See what kind of love the Father has given us, that we should be called the children of God, and so we are. Okay, so he's talking about God's love. Okay? Then he says, the reason why the world does not know us is that it did not know Him. Beloved, we are God's children now, and what we will be has not yet appeared. But we know that when He appears, we shall be like Him, because we shall see him as He is. So here's the first part, right? We are children of God. We are children of God. And so, because we are children of God, there are at least three things. There's a lot more than this, right? But at least three things. Okay, number one is we have His care. What's number one?
Yeah. We have His care.
All right, what's number one?
We have His care.
Okay, we're children of God, so we have His care. And you're like, what does that mean, we have His care? It means He cares about you. Okay? Now, I know some of you might have dads who are like me, and they're mean, and they yell at you, and they ground you, and they make you do homework and odd jobs around the house, like pooper scooping, or Jamin has to stack wood all the time and pooper scoop, and so all these like horrible things, right? So, but the truth of the matter is, your dad cares. Your dad cares, and so does God. God cares a lot. As a matter of fact, I got thinking about like caring and things like that, and I remembered this story, so I went and fished it out. So here's the story. Okay, sick man went to the doctor's office with his wife. The doctor examined the man and ran some tests. while his wife was waiting in the reception area. When the doctor emerged with a concerned look on his face, the wife became anxious. "Doctor, will my husband be okay?" she inquired. "I'm afraid your husband is very ill," the doctor replied. "He has a rare form of anemia, and if it's left untreated, he will most certainly die from it. However, there is a cure." "A cure?" "Yes. With rest and the proper nutrition, the disease will go into remission, and your husband should live for many more years. Here's what I want you to do. Take your husband home and treat him like a king. Fix him 3 home-cooked meals a day, and wait on him hand and foot. Bring him a breakfast in bed. Don't let him do anything that you can do for him. If he needs something, you take care of it. Give him a back rub in the morning, a full-body massage every evening, and rub his feet in the afternoon. Oh, and one more thing. Because his immune system is weak, you have to keep your home spotless at all times. Do you have any questions?" The wife had none. "Do you want to break the news to your husband, or shall I?" asked the doctor. "I will," the wife replied. She walked into the examination room. The husband, sensing that something was wrong, said, "It's bad, isn't it? What have I got?" And his wife answered him with a tear in his eye. "The doctor says you're going to die." Right? So sometimes we look at love that way, right? Like, I love them, but not that much. Like, I'm not going to take that. Yeah, one hair over here somewhere. Right? So we kind of think of people that way. Like, we love them, but we don't love them that much. We don't care about them that much. Like, there's no way I'm rubbing that guy's feet or that girl's feet or whatever. But here's the deal, guys. God loves us, and He cares for us, and He has promised to care for us, and He's already begun the caring process for us by dying Himself. So He loves us. The first way He loves us is by we have His
care.
First way He loves us, we have His
care.
Okay, number 2, we have a
Relationship.
Okay, we have His
care.
And we have a
relationship.
Okay, so here's what I want you to look at. I want you to look at this verse with me, okay? Get all eyes up on the screen if you don't mind. I mean, you can turn there if you really want to. Romans 8 says this: "For you did not receive the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you received the spirit of adoption as sons, by whom we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit Himself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, fellow heirs with Christ, provided we suffer with Him in order that we may also be glorified with Him." Here's what I want you to understand. We have a close relationship with God. He actually says that we can call Him Abba, Father. So I know a lot of people are like, "What's that? Isn't Abba like a 70s rock group?" Well, actually, yes, they are. But that's not what it means.
Disco.
Disco group, 70s disco group. But that's not what it means here. Abba actually is the word that you would use for daddy in biblical times. So give me some other words that you have heard from other languages or from other cultures, or maybe you got words you guys have used to call your dad. Things you've heard people call their dad. Go ahead.
Papa.
Papa. Good. Give me some more.
Pops.
Pops. Good. Anybody else?
Dad.
Dad. Yeah. That's a good one.
PJ.
Call it dad. What's that?
PJ.
Actually, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Other things that people call their parents. Do you guys know what they call their parents in, or their dad in Ireland? They call him Da.
Oh,
Dad.
Dad.
Hey, Da. Hey, Da. Hey, Da. Right, so all around the world, like we have, and in all these different cultures, even with America, we have these like pet names for dad. And it's really weird in my house because I am like a lot of things to my kids. So I coach my kids, and I'm their youth pastor. I'm the pastor at their church. I'm their father. At some point or another, I may wind up being Jamin's substitute teacher over at Gloucester Christian.
Really?
Yeah, I've substituted over there before. I'm chapel speaking. Like, I'm all these weird. I've done camp. I've spoken at camps where they've been. So my kids hear me called PJ. They hear me called Pastor Jack. They hear me called Coach Jack, Coach Klose, Coach. They hear me called all these things, right? And so when they really want to get my attention, they're like, "Hey, PJ," because I like ignore Dad, right? But here's the deal. When I come home at night, and Maggie hears me walk in the door, and Elijah hears me walk in the door. So those of you guys that don't know, my little ones, Elijah's 5, Maggie's 3, right? And they're cute as buttons. They're awesome. And So they hear me open the door. They don't come running to the door saying, Pastor Jack! Right? Like you guys, if you saw me, you'd be like, yo, Pastor Jack, what's up? You know, maybe some of you even you know me a little closer, you'd be like, yo, Peach, what's up? What's going on? Right? My youth group in Miami called me P Daddy. Right? So instead of P Daddy. So they don't run and say that. They don't say, hi, Mr. Klose. They don't say, hey, Coach. What do they do? What do they run in and say? Daddy, right? So here's the deal. Over my career, I've been in youth ministry for 20 years. In 20 years, I have ministered literally to thousands of students. Taught thousands of students. There are only 5 who call me Daddy. I've got great relationship. Kurt and I have had a good relationship for, I don't know, what's it, like 7, 8, 9 years, something like that? I mean, it's been more than that. 13, about 13 years I've known Kurt. I would consider myself very close to Kurt. Kurt's a great guy. He puts up with me, right? So we've got this great relationship. Kurt's one of my favorites over the years, right? Justin the same way, right? Steve, obviously. I haven't known Steve as a leader. I've known him, as a student, but as a leader, and we're very close. None of these guys, though, call me Daddy. They're not allowed. And I say that to my kids sometimes, because they'll say, I want to call you PJ. No, dude, you call me Daddy. You're the only one that can call me Daddy. There's a closeness to that. Does that make sense? There's like this closeness. And I want you to get this. The God of the universe, the creator of everything, the being who manages the world, spins it on its axis, keeps gravity working, knows every name of every billion people. What are there, 3 billion people on the earth?
7.5
6 billion.
6, 7.5 billion, whatever, billions and billions of people of all of history. He knows the hairs on all of their heads. That God says, hey, when you pray to me, you can refer to me as Abba or Daddy. That's awesome, you guys. That's awesome. So when we look at this, right, we say we have His care. We have a close relationship. But look at this as the other thing. We have an inheritance. So what are the 3 things? Number 1, we have His
care.
We have a
Relationship.
And last one, we have an
Inheritance.
Okay, that's great. So let's look at that Romans 8 passage again. So it says this: for you did not receive the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you've received the spirit of adoption as sons, by whom we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit Himself bears witness with our spirit. Bears witness doesn't mean like the Spirit of God is in us going like, can I get a witness? Right? He's not doing that. Right? What He's doing is the Spirit of God within us gives us a confidence that we have the Spirit of God within us. Okay? The Spirit of God bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God. And if we're children, then heirs of God and fellow heirs of Christ. Okay? So we are heirs with God. We get an inheritance from God. We have hope for the future. We have a hope for the future. And you're like, well, Pastor Jack, what good does that do me right now? I'm a junior hire. Like, I'm not staring death in the face right now, right? So, and you shouldn't be thinking about death all the time. It's not healthy. Well, let me explain to you why that's important. Several years ago, there was an experiment at the University of California. Here's what they did. They took a bunch of rats and they put them in buckets of water. And they made them swim until they died. And you're like, dude, really? Yeah, that's what they do with rats. If you want one in your house, then don't complain. You have a rat in your house? Do you have a pet rat? Okay. I had a pet mouse once because my snake didn't eat it. Anyway. You're laughing like that's not true. Cammy's my first pet was a ball python. And we used to feed it live mice, and it would like slither, but then all of a sudden it'd be like, wham! And it would wrap it up and its eyes would bleed. It was awesome. Anyway, so it was seriously cool. Hey! Snakes gotta eat.
I know.
Anyway, so these rats, they swim. Guess how long they swam before they drowned? The average rat.
30 seconds.
5 hours? Who says more? Who says less? Like 3 of you voted. Okay. Who says more than 5 hours?
30 seconds.
Who says less than 5 hours?
I said
Okay.
more.
How many that you said more? How long do you think it was?
Probably 6.
8 hours.
8, 6 or 8.
7 hours. 7 hours. The average rat will swim for 7 hours before they're just like, I'm done. So, then they got another group of rats, all from the same rat clan, right? They put the same rats in, and just before it looked like they were going to die, they took the rats out and they put them on dry land. Like they put them in a cage, left them rest for 30 seconds, and then put them back in. How long do you think they swam?
7 hours.
20 hours. Pastor Jack, why would they swim so strongly? Here's why. They had hope. They had hope. As a matter of fact, they swam for 13 more hours in the backside after being rescued one time. Pastor Jack, what's that got to do with me being like an heir of God? Like, is he going to drown me in a sea of rats? No. Right. I mean, it's a reasonable question. So, here's what that says. You guys, stop. You guys are going to go through some really, really hard times in your life. Some of you might even be going through some of those hard times now, right? So stuff is rough. Maybe it's rough with family, maybe it's rough at school, maybe it's friendship stuff. Whatever it might be. When we know that we have a hope for the future, and that God is going to give us a future, that strengthens us to keep following Him through those difficult times. Guys, I've done youth ministry for 20 years, thousands of kids. Can I just tell you, continue to hope in God. Don't give up. When bad stuff comes, don't give up. I've watched bad stuff ruin the lives of students for a course of time, and then finally, after a long, long time of going all the wrong direction, they wind up coming back to God and saying, oh, why didn't I do this earlier? And I'm like, I don't know. I told you. Right? Let me just tell you, you have hope. You have a future. So there's 3 things, right? We have His what?
Care.
We have a
Relationship.
We have an
Inheritance.
We have His care. We have a close relationship. We have His care. You can call God Daddy. He's going to give you a future in heaven together. And He's going to care for you while you're on earth. Even when things are rough. Some of you are like, well, if God cared, He wouldn't make things rough. The other day, Maggie was running around, and you guys, most of you have been in my house, right? You know, my house has like that, like, area you can run in a circle. Yeah. That's what my kids do. Run in circles. You guys know that table Jeremy made for me?
Yes.
That really big, like, chunk of wood table. He's literally made a table out of a chunk of wood. It's like that thick. Maggie's tearing around, slips, wham! Pops her head up. Seriously, look at her tonight. She's still got a line. It's been like a week and a half. Am I a bad dad because I let her get hurt a little bit? No, she's running around playing, having a good time. I want her to do that. Sometimes bad stuff happens even in the middle of doing something good and fun, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you think I was like, get up, kid, suck it up, what's wrong with you? She's like, oh! No, I went over and I picked her up, I kissed her, and I kissed her head, and she's like, ah! Sorry, sweetheart. Right? So, I loved on her even when she was hurting, and I want you guys to understand that sometimes you're hurting and you're like, where's God? Where's God? Where's God? Why did He let me hurt? Sometimes hurt happens, you guys. Sometimes hurt happens. God is there. He's ready to comfort you. That's His care. He cares. We have a close relationship. We have an inheritance. Okay, so, loving God in the world. We're children of God, number one, but we are strangers to the world. Now, I want to do that. I want to show you this video, right? So, yeah, do you have that one? Pop that up. Push play.
You gotta slide it over. So, here, look.
Jamie, learn this one.
Yeah, Jim, get this up. Yeah. Right? So we are strangers to the world. We feel like, listen, we feel like the world around us is exactly like we can talk the lingo, we can talk the talk, we can walk the walk. Like we're cool like the world. We want to be like the world. But I'm going to tell you that if you're really a child of God, you're a little bit more like this dude. Bling.
went out there and they're like, it looked really nice too.
It did? Good. I was hoping it would look good.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get the free food and whatnot.
Yeah, it's great to get the free food.
Are you answering what I'm saying?
No, I'm on the phone with somebody. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude.
What was that?
I just said I was on the phone with somebody.
Oh, nothing.
The guy next to me asked me if I was talking. There's a guy, he's talking about me on the phone or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's weird. Yeah, no, we're getting on pretty soon. Yeah, me too.
Do you know what Terminal Spirit arrives in?
Yeah, I think it arrives in like Terminal 3.
Okay, so you could just text me which terminal it is?
Great, yeah, I'll text you later. If you didn't believe me, I'll double check and I'll just text you.
No, maybe it'll be okay. I'll just look when I get there.
Yeah, you can just look it up when you get there. That's probably a better idea.
How late is your flight delayed?
It's like 20 minutes late, I think. I think it's probably gonna be about 20 minutes.
Is that your sister with you?
No, I don't have a sister. Why do you ask?
I like answering the same question.
I'm sorry?
I feel like you're answering my question.
No, I'm talking to somebody. It's my friend.
I'm at the airport.
Yeah, me too. I'm sitting here at the airport, just waiting to get on the flight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I got a B+ on that.
Oh, a B+. That's good. Congratulations. That is not bad. You know what? My reception's kind of bad over here. I'm going to move over. Oh, it's better here. It's definitely better here. No, it's delayed for probably 30 minutes.
What do you want for dinner?
Oh man, I could go for anything. Maybe a burger tonight, or burger and fries, pizza. You know,
Where are
something.
the kids at?
I don't have kids. Why do you ask?
Hey, you want to go out later?
Yeah, definitely. Like as soon as I land, let's go out.
I'll meet you about 6 o'clock at the house.
Okay, fine. 6 at the house is great. That'd be perfect. Got to take the flight first. Oh, huh?
Oh, are you talking to me?
No, I'm on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. No, it was just a girl next to me. She was just talking to me
Okay,
while I
well,
was on
I'll
the phone.
talk to you later then.
Okay, perfect. Talk to you later. Great.
Okay.
Okay. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay.
I'll text you.
Great. Text me and I'll text you back. That sounds perfect.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Were you listening to my conversation?
No. I was on the phone with my buddy.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, okay, maybe I was a little bit. See, there's a hidden camera right there. You see that? That's a camera. That's my wife holding the camera. We do this for YouTube. Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. Thanks a lot for being in the video.
It's like he's answering their questions and responding to all their statements, but there's no relationship there. They're just like looking at him, and like this one girl, she's like, "You're really creepy," right? Like she's just, like, "You're really creepy," and the deal is this, right? That's kind of the way we are with the world. We're not on their conversation. We're not on their phone line. We're in a conversation with God. We're in a relationship with His people. And the world around us is operating, and we're trying to listen in, and we're trying to fit in, and we're trying to be like them. And I'm not talking about the way you dress. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about your attitude. I'm talking about the things that you love, right? So I just want to encourage you that we have a relationship with God, but we are strangers to the world. So let's get through the last bit of this, okay? I'm sorry, that took a little longer. So now, we love God or we love the world, okay? The goal is that we love God because He loves us so much. But we're like complete strangers with the world. We can walk in purity and sin. So everyone who makes practice of sinning, this is verse 4, also practices lawlessness. Lawlessness is sin is lawlessness. Verse 8 says, whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. So, walking in purity or walking in sin, John talks about practicing, making a practice of sin. And here's what that means. It's actually two words, prio and amaritano. And it means to perform or to practice or to engage in wrongdoing. So the idea here is this. Like, you're working at sinning. Like, there are times that we as Christians work at sinning. So what do you mean, Pastor Jack? Let me explain what I mean. So my daughter, Victoria, you guys know Victoria, right? Everybody knows Victoria?
Yeah.
she's a horrible shooter in basketball. So the way you're supposed to shoot in basketball is this, right? You're supposed to stand here, square your hips up, square your shoulders up, get your elbow up, get the ball to your eye, follow through. That's the way you're supposed to shoot, right? And everything, if you move, is supposed to go toward the basket. Does that make sense? Okay?
Yes.
Everything like this. Tori wanted to shoot like this. Like really, she played on a basketball team that was undefeated, and she started at the shooting guard position, and she shot like this. And it was all wrong. And so we'd come down to the gym. Tori and I would come down to the gym together, and I'd say, no, let's get it all together, right? And she'd shoot it one side, like, and she's like, that's not very comfortable. And then she'd jump sideways and shoot it. And here's the bad part. Like, it went in. When she shot it wrong, it went in, and it drove me up the wall, because she's practicing the what? Wrong thing. Well, guys, here's the deal, right? Doing right is uncomfortable. So what do? We do what's easy to us. We do what's comfortable for us. We do what we like to do. We're practicing the wrong stuff. That's what he's saying. He's like, hey, listen, don't get in the practice of doing it over and over and over and over and getting yourself into a habit of it. You've got to quit the bad habits. Shoot your spiritual basketball the right way. Right? Does that make sense? So then it talks about living righteously. Here's what he says in verse 5. So 1 John 3:5. You know that he appeared in order to take away sins. And in him there's no sin. And no one who abides in him keeps sinning. And he goes on and continues to talk about that in verse 7. He talks about it in verse 8 and in verse 9. So here's the deal. We practice sin because it's easy. But God has put within us a nature to do right, to do good. So sometimes we fight against our nature, though. You guys, are there any things that you guys do that are like natural for you that you're a little embarrassed about? All right, anybody want to share one? Yeah,
Talking.
you do talk a lot,
You do.
and that should embarrass you.
Especially in class.
Well, who else? Somebody else. Yeah,
I talk a lot and I run into walls.
running into walls naturally. Yeah, it's something you.
The walls are bullies.
Yeah, they are, right? Clearly, right? So here's what I do.
Oh.
I cry a lot. No, I'm not kidding. I have myself a good cry at least once a week. I'll be in my Jeep. Song will come on. I'll love the song. I'll start singing the song. Tops off. I got my bass kicking in the back. I got a big 10-inch sub in the back. Right? Bass is kicking in the back. And I'll be like, no doors on the Jeep. I'm driving by people. People are like looking at me like this tough dude in a Jeep weeping. Like, what's wrong with you? So here's the deal. I was embarrassed about that when I was younger. And so here's what I did. Instead of crying, I tried to channel that emotion. And the only thing that came out like semi-naturally for me was anger. So instead of crying, I would just get mad. Somebody hurt me, I wouldn't go in my room and, get my Kleenex box out and just weep a little bit. I'd get mad at them. And I'd push them or shove them or kick them or whatever, right? I used that emotion that was natural to me and I changed it up because I was embarrassed about it. Here's the deal. You have the Spirit of God. If you're His child, you have the Spirit of God and He lives in you. God. Think about that. God is in you. The one who never sins is in you. And there are some things that God wants you to do, that the Spirit of God wants you to do. And here's what we do. The Bible calls it quenching the Spirit. It's like we're throwing water on this spiritual fire. Because frankly, here's the deal. I know you're in junior high, and I remember what it's like being in junior high. You are just straight up embarrassed to act godly around your friends. And so you throw this spiritual water on your spiritual fire, and you act the way the world acts, and it's not working for you. Can I tell you, when I stopped crying, when I didn't cry anymore, and I was angry, can I tell you I was miserable? God didn't wire me to be an angry person. wired me to be a guy who had a good cry every once in a while, right? That's who I am. And you know what? Since I've gotten away from that anger, and I'm back to where I'm just like driving the Jeep, having myself a good cry, Frozen's on the radio, singing Let It Go, you know, thinking of my little girl. I cry. And I'm okay with it. It's who I am naturally. Guys, naturally, you have sin in you. Then the Spirit of God comes in and whacks that, says, you got a new nature. So what do? We take water and we throw it on that new nature to quench it. Because we want to act like the nature that God is getting rid of out of our life. Because that's how our friends are. Can I just challenge you guys? We have a choice to walk in purity or walk in sin. We can stop practicing the wrong stuff. Just because it feels right does not mean it's right. Just because it comes easier does not mean it's right. We got to begin to live righteously. Let's pray.